You can't see it, but anyway, maybe we'll talk a bit about that later. Anyway, this is just getting my feet wet in here. Don't quite have my YouTube voice on yet, but I'm gonna spend most of the time on the screens, and I'm starting with tuning uh, background vocals, and I'm specifically not going to tune the main sing lines because I want the singer issue, if you're watching this, to really concentrate on and sing on the notes as much as possible to avoid having to auto tune the main vocals. When it comes to backgrounds, I have a completely different opinion about that. Background vocals really need to harmonize, and they can certainly handle fairly, a good amount of auto tuning. Not because of the singers are not perfect singing, but the background vocals, when they're tuned perfectly, they kind of sound like a chord of a guitar or an instrument. It's more than just the notes. It becomes bigger. It becomes like a chord. So, in order to get a chord sounding really nice, they have to be really accurate. But the main singer does not need to be that accurate. You want the up and down and that. So, if you see me doing lots of auto tuning, it's not that I'm going to be doing it to the whole song and turning it into something else. It's just doing it with the backup vocals, and I might do it with some parts of the chorus. The chorus sometimes is like a big long backing vocal as well, or a harmony. So essentially, just be tuning up the harmonies and mistakes. Hitting a sharp instead of a flat, stuff like that. So I'll put the microphone down, go into this and into the screen mode, and then we'll carry on like that.
Where did it go? Where did it go? Don't let me forget to remind you, to remind me not to forget. It's all been hazy lately. I feel like I'm going crazy. We used to hang out downtown. I don't even recognize it now. Last night I had a dream that we were only actors on a movie screen. What I remember, everything's gone or changed from what I remember. We're still the same. Where did it go? Where did it go?
Hey, hey, hey. Hey, hey, hey. Hey, hey. Where's the levels? Yeah, yeah. Still. Yeah. Hey. Two. 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 Check. Check. Two. 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 Hey. So I was using this, but it doesn't want to go in the stereo, so I'm gonna forget about this guy. There, you're gone. Okay, now audio 2. Let's set this up here before we get going. We got meter. Where's the meter bridge? Mixing board. Sorry. Okay. Okay, so these are all the tracks. The stuff that's muted and stuff not working on right now. So the guitars are pretty cool. No, these are the effects that I laid on my guitar, which is probably on my voice. I don't know, there's an effect on my voice, and it shouldn't be. That's the going through the proverb. That's the sound of the voice. I guess this was used for something else. But here's bus. Hey. None. There we go. All right. Still a bit quiet, so let's just keep boosting on this. What I like to do is I just like to add, maybe I'll do it like that for this one too. See, I don't like adding too much things to at this section. I mean, as little as possible. And the built-in stuff for digital performer is really good, so I'm going to just use that. So you got built-in dynamics, graphs, and controls. So I'm going to put the dynamics controls because that's what I'm going to be using mostly. And the one I like the most is the leveler. So the leveler is pretty good. Hey, what's up? There we go. Okay, so that's going to be our volume, and if I get carried away, well, then I'll just gain reduction. I should turn it down. The gain should have kicked in. Should kick in before. There we go. Okay. Alright, normally I'm not talking very loud on the microphone, so these settings are kind of, they're not what I'm used to. Usually it's a loud environment. That's why we blew our head off there a second ago when I turned it on for the first time. But we're going to get their comfortable levels. So this is kind of like, we're getting together here. So this is going to be the vocal mic. Oh, wasn't quite what I was going for, but I need 2 hands for this. Yeah, I got my microphone stands are in the car because I'm a sound guy. I'm not a YouTube broadcaster. So don't mind me where I put my vocal. The Shure SM58 is what I'm talking into. I got all kinds of other fancy microphones, but man, these ones are better than most, even though they're cheap. You put them right up to your face and you talk, and it sounds good. And that's it. All right. So once you get that set, you just take out what you don't need. The VOG, that's me. Well, that's a standard term for the guy engineering the audio, called the voice of God. And then that's when the lighting people start chiming in, and it just doesn't stop after that. So we never get a chance to put it down on a console, the VOG, just to let everyone know what's going on. Where did it go? Okay, so yeah, I mean there's some effects on there we don't really need. So cancel that. Oh, sorry. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the not mixing board, but the channel strip. Alright, so that when I highlighted channel strip right here, guitars, right? Right, okay. So let's see, this guitar's got a bunch of stuff on it we don't want. How about we just take it off? The tuner, yeah, we need that. But here's the none. Alright. Oh, these are not guitars, these are vocals. So I gotta rename these. Yeah. Where did it go? Where did it go? If you put too much crap on it, it starts to fall apart, and that's where you get the chimpunky sound. Because if it's gonna fall apart, you might as well freaking screw it right up. Where did it go? It sounds more like a slight throaty kind of thing. not really that off. It's hardly off. Let's look and see. He hit the notes are there. A. So this is where you want to see what things are. You know, they're G3, and you see this one here is sharp, but or either that or flat. So this would be an example of something that of a correction, like where there's a complete note difference.
Where did it go?
Yeah, like or that's not a disco. So how about we go like this? That's probably what it's supposed to be.
Where did it go?
So A flat and B flat and so we got to figure out what key this is in, right? So let's see. It looks like B flat is a pretty predominant chord here.
Where did it go?
See, those little moves like that are to prevent the
Where did it go?
see, like that's pretty nice.
Where did it go? Where did it go?
That one's kind of wobbly. I'm not sure about that one. But there's other examples. I might just.
Where did it go? Where did it go? Where did it go?
That's not bad at all.
Where did it go?
I'm not gonna touch it.
Where did it go?
That one's not as good as the other one, right? So these repeat themselves. So in this particular case, this one is like the voice just kind of crapped out a bit, and I'm so used to working with two hands. I need a. Hang on. I'll do a little snip now. We gotta. When we start snipping around, just put it on the. Put this down. I don't know if you can. Anyway, I'll have to get a mic stand.
Where did it go? Where did it go? Don't let me forget to remind you.
Well, there's some motive.
Don't let me forget to remind you, to remind me not to forget. It's all been hazy lately. I feel like I'm going crazy. We used to hang out downtown. I don't even recognize it.
Okay. Like I know, like this, like it to me, it sounds like it's a first take, right? It's like okay, we did this and we rented the studio and we went and did it in 4 hours. Problem, no, I shouldn't say problem. The difficulty, and it doesn't matter how damn good you are, is you spend half your time with the anxiety of getting there and getting ready and preparing and all that crap and sound checking, and then you try to nail your takes in the last part where you really should be going home for a coffee, talking about it, coming up the next day, and then doing a killer take. Happens all the time. First, tracking on the same day of the setup, of getting ready, even going into the new environment, is never a good idea. Do 2 sessions. The second session is going to rock because you know what you're getting into, and you're going to be mentally focused on singing. And I could tell because the other track, which you did with just a handheld mic live with hardly any effort, was much more passionate and like more of a performance. It almost sounded like it was completed. And here you could tell it's just like it's losing some.
Don't let me forget to remind you, to remind me not to forget. It's all been hazy lately. I feel like I'm going crazy.
Yeah, little pitchy in that. I know he can do a lot. I know he's gonna do better. And he told me he just got this stuff together. And I said, well, just do it at home. Wow, I'm not saying he's paying for studio time, but
everything's gone on.
It's just not really worth tuning that if you're going to redo it again. And I'd rather tune that as least as possible. I'd spend more time going for a performance and as little time as possible. Maybe just the occasional note, But we'll go through it anyway. I think we'll pick up, grab a chorus.
Don't let me forget to remind you, to remind me not to forget. It's all been hazy lately. I feel like I'm going crazy. We used to hang out downtown. I don't even recognize it now. Last night I had a dream that we were only actors on a movie screen. What I remember.
Here, you can hear the auto tune. This is the result of being tired. This is not a guy. This guy's been singing all his life. This is what happens when your ears are tired and you've been at it all day, and then you do your thing under stress and you haven't got time. You end up with maybe backup vocals, but at the same time, you don't want to be too heavily invested in anything. It's like it's really not a problem to go back and do it. That's common. I never get anything done the first time. First track or first take, it's usually 3 sessions by the time it gets good.
What I remember.
Like this is like way off. See.
What I remember. What I remember.
I don't know. It sounds too flat. Needs to be some. Oh.
Remember. Everything's gone or changed. Everything's gone or changed.
Okay. All right. See the right here. There we go. And yeah, see, that's not bad.
Everything's gone or changed. From what I remember.
Yeah, this one went down quite flat, so drag that up.
From what I remember, we're still the same.
This note has to be on it big time.
From what I remember, we're still the same. From what I remember, we're still the same.
There you go.
All the places we...
Okay, so yeah, so I'm gonna put the mic down, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna chop it up. I'm gonna just keep the backups and the choruses for this, and when I'm gonna mix it back, and we already talked, like we know we're gonna do this again. I mean, I wasn't. This was definitely not a criticism about the takes, but just picking from it. I'm gonna keep the backups and the choruses, and which the choruses will probably double those up again with more harmony, and you know, and tune that up, and then I need 2 fingers for that, so I'm gonna put down my mic.
into what I remember. We're only actors on a movie screen.
Yeah, weird sounds. Okay, so one of the things you need to do when you have this done, if you don't do this step right here, all your work will be for nothing because it will not print. It's a non-destructive thing. So, um, so if you see the red in the line, that means that it's been altered from the original. And if you select that and you bounce it down to disk, like if you don't make it a new file, then you won't. This will be, you won't save this. It doesn't save like that. It'll save in a session, but it won't bounce down until you do this part. So you have to basically. Well, it's just one file. Okay, so. Right. Okay. So. Sorry. Yeah, and here we go, and we just do the merge sound bites. Okay, now those have become they're a new set of files, and that's that.
What I remember, everything's gone or changed. From what I remember, we're still the same. What I remember, what I remember, what I remember, what I what I remember, 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 what I remember, remember, everything's gone or gone or changed. Everything's gone. Everything's gone or changed. 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 From what I remember, we're still the same. Where did it go? Where did it go? Where did it go? Go. What I remember, everything's gone or changed. From what I remember, we're still the same. We're still the same. it go? Where did it go? Where did it go? Where did it go? Go. Go. Where did it go? Go. Where did it go? Go. Go. Where did it go? 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 Where did it go?
Really good timing.
Where did it go?
Yeah, you can. The timing is great, but the tiredness, you can see. Like, there's definitely tell the tiredness is there. It's just one of my points. They say don't record on the same day that you set up. It's pretty dramatic.
Where did it go?
Woo!
Where did it go?
Knees are okay. I mean, we'll probably end up redoing them all anyway, but that's all right. I'm not gonna go much beyond that.
What I remember.
Yeah, these will get tough. That's it. Just one more set.
What I remember. Whoa. Whoa. What I What I remember, everything's gone or changed from what I remember. We're still the same.
Cool. All right, so that's it for that. A couple of things here. All right. Now, when you, this is kind of a quirk with Digital Performer or a feature, I don't know what it is, but when you merge the bytes like that, you know, that becomes a new file, obviously. And but if you do adjustments on one, it'll affect the other. Okay, so for instance, like the last one here has got two of them. Now watch, if I pull this back, the other one comes back as well. Okay, so you got to be aware of that. That when you, if you're going to carry on some extra editing apart from what you just did when you copied and paste, that you have to merge it again, and that. And then when you merge it, then the ones disappear, because if I pull it this way, now that I merged it, this doesn't go any farther because it's another one, and the old file is there. Now, let's see. So if you now I left this one right here. I left one of them untouched. Well, the ending. Now, this is the original file right here. Now, if I just take this, let's say I made a mess or whatever. You make it so that you can pull back, and see, I can cover it up. I can pull this all the way across and then start over, without having to, you know. So you do it in a way where when you're leaving parts of the original nearby, so that if it messes up, you can pull on it and avoid doing merging in the entire track. What you can do is you can do a copy, duplicated, depending on how much you want to go back. A lot of the stuff that you do while you're working determines how far back you want to go. Like if you want to be able to go back and right from the very beginning and change like a kick drum or something like that before, you know, in a sample, kick drum sample, for instance, well, then you have to go all the way back into the session, and then, you know, change it, print that file, and then bring it into your new one, right? And but if you're not able to go all the way, dig back into the session, well, then you won't be able you won't be able to fix things afterwards. And sometimes you got to fix a lot of things afterwards because you don't know until you're in the mix but what's gonna stay and go. So yeah, these big long tails. So a couple of things. Those are little things that people should not be aware of. So there's more to do. I'm going to come back after. Coming up next, I have to kind of do the same with some bass, and there's also something really interesting going on with SMPTE that I had a little bit of trouble working, but it's synchronizing everything to the because I'm recording primarily off a mixer with a hard disk. There's a couple of reasons why I'm doing that. One of them is to not weigh down the computer so much. So I'm distributing the processing and it just lets me get more and take advantage of the hardware, the excellent electronics that you can't beat excellent electronics. Your stuff is only so good as it going in and going out, and it's can only get so good inside a computer, inside the box. Where it can really improve a lot is when it goes from the box. Let's say, like if you take it to a mastering engineer, they're going to take your files and they're going to put them in the fanciest converters, and it's going to go through the best possible electronics, and then it's going to go back in. It's going to do that little trip, and there's absolutely no way you're going to be able to recreate that inside a computer, no matter what it is, because it's not what happens inside, it's how the file and how the music is converted into analog and back into digital. When it converts into analog, it has the ability to go very dynamic and very high resolution, way beyond anything that a laptop can handle. It's on a different scale entirely, and it's in that scaling that where excellence comes from, because that's where it gets very precise. And that's the reason why I'm using the TouchMix 16 in this way, because it has very wide electronics. Like there's no real way to distort these preamps. You can scream in it as loud as you want. You can freaking take a gunshot to a most sensitive microphone, and you probably might be able to clip the preamps on this. But good luck clipping those, which means it has great dynamic range. And it also, with that dynamic range, you're working in a 32-bit file. And then when you're working in a 32-bit file, and you import those back into 24-bit into a laptop, or DAW or whatever, the file itself it becomes quite small. Like it has to be like amplified like 3 times, but yet the resolution is as good as if it was like full res. So it's like the file is able to become much louder when you do the transfer. And why is that good? Well, because you're not giving the mixing guy or the guy, the mastering, or whoever's next down the line. In this case, I'm sending it back in Vancouver, but I'm going to be sending him back with whoever's going to be working with it from there. The transfers from the mixer in 32 bits, so they're going to get the 32-bit files, and then when they import that, they're going to be able to increase the volume into the 24-bit, because that's really where the difference is. And when anybody asks the difference between 16, 24, and 32, if you start the scale from the bottom, which is what we do when we're recording, because we have to raise everything up, we've got to raise the levels of the microphone, we've got to raise everything, then those things become really good, because 16 only goes so high, 24 goes even higher, and 32 goes even higher than that. Now, if you're coming at it from the other side, let's say from CDs and music and MP3s, it's not going to make a difference whether it's 24 or 60 or 24-bit or 32-bit or 16-bit, because it's already at its maximum levels. So the benefit of the resolution of those files only happen in the quieter section. So yeah, a 24-bit is going to sound slightly better and more dynamic than a 16-bit if you're listening to the very quiet passages of orchestra, when you can hear the coughing in the background, the little squeaking of the chairs. Those little tiny, very quiet details are more perceptible and a little bit clearer and sharper in a 24-bit file, and that's about it. When it comes to loudness, you put a 16 or a 24-bit in a club and you'll never know the difference, because that's not where its benefit is. It's, for recorded stuff, recorded music, CDs, and anything that's completed content, it's maxed as loud as it can go, and then from there, the benefits of 16 to 24-bit are at the quietest part. In recording, it's the other way around. The way we set this up, we go into a 24-bit into 32-bit, and when you work into in those ones, you when you give it off to the next person, and they're gonna end up bringing it down to 24-bit, then 16-bit to be commercial music, then they get to raise the levels up quite a bit, because you're giving them something that is quiet, because you can't when you're pushing it really hard, it's still the conversion itself renders it quiet. And Well, why can't you do it with 16? Well, here's the thing. There's no noise. So there's absolutely no noise at, in this resolution that I'm working with the mixing board. So you can imagine when you're raising the levels to match it up, mixing it and mastering, you're not really you're lowering the noise floor even more because there is no noise there to begin with. So you raise it up, and you raise it up to high, in order to be loud as everything else. You're just raising music. You're not raising noise because there was no noise, because you were operating, so you were working in a very high resolution area, and the noise floor was already very, very low, as compared to if you were working like at a desktop, laptop, even like with just like what I'm doing right now. You can hear there's a little bit of a noise in the background. Now imagine if this was 4 times louder, that noise would be 4 times louder, and it would be unacceptable. Anyway, we just lost our 3. Well, we lost the video anyway. So, but anyway, you know what I'm talking about. It was probably timed out here. I know it sounds like it was complicated, but anyway, nobody really talks about that. They don't understand the difference between the two, and so I'm just bringing it up and making people aware that if you can record in if you have 32-bit equipment, converters, or a mixer like this TouchMix 16, and you work in 32-bit exclusively on a mixer, not on a computer, because the reason why it doesn't work on the computer is because even though you're working 32-bit inside, you're still converting in and out at the lower bit rates, so you're not getting the advantage. But if you work in a native 32-bit piece of equipment and then render it down into what its proper levels, like within its levels and all that, and you hand that over to the next guy, he's going to be getting a very high resolution file that isn't very loud, and then when they raise it up, they're going to have that much more to work with. It's going to sound so much better. That's where the difference is